Chris. This is my co-host, Andrew the Boxing Brain.
Hello, here we are.
And the topic of today is the first decent fight on the card.
Yeah.
Riley versus Chevron Clarke. Is a local boy, Gravesend.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. So, take it away.
Yes, we're trying a new little format, still our usual style, but I'm going to sort of pump Chris some questions. He's going to answer them, and then sometimes I'll ask him, I'll answer straight away, and then Chris will answer after, give his feedback, and then let us know. Our usual subs that always comment, old Rem, you know who you are, Amanda Conquest, all those guys. Let us know if you kind of like just a slight adjustment on the format. So let's start with Viddal Riley, because to be honest, he's one of those where it's kind of like I was trying to sort of gauge Chris kind of where he's at. He's not been terribly active, and I know it was always his dream to get that British title. So my first question: the cruiserweight division, it's not a particularly stacked division, is it? Outside of Jaya Pattaya and Zerdo, and obviously CBS, on the decline now.
Yeah.
Do you see him as a future world champion potentially in a non-stacked division, or is it far too early to tell, Chris?
It depends. It depends if Jaya Pattaya moves up to heavyweight.
Indeed.
But saying that, he's shown he's got a chin. He's a really, really good boxer. Maybe we don't know how good Viddal Riley can be, to be honest, because he showed something in that fight yesterday. Yeah, Chevron Clarke, not the greatest, 35, like old or whatever, but he's still European level. Like he got to European level, beyond British level. Good amateur pedigree, and he just wiped the floor with him. Basically, he just pretty much had it his own way, and he had to dig in a few times, but. So I just think he could be a world champion. I don't think he beat Pattaya, but I think he's probably going to give him the best fight out there after a few more fights when he's a bit more polished. Say if he wins Commonwealth, European, he's on a roll, on form, he could give him a good fight because he's got good boxing skills.
Yeah, he seems to like the traditional route. You could tell that in a post-fight interview. He was really, I know that was an initial dream of his, and a fair play to him. He's come from sort of humble beginnings, and I know he's very, very well liked, and allegedly he's a really nice guy as well. Very humble, very nice guy, which is always good to see in the gentleman sport. My other question's a bit of a big question here.
Go on then.
And I like this question. I really want to see your thoughts on it, because probably, he's quite slick. He's got skills. That his best performance by far, Chris, wasn't it? He's obviously fought. Did he fight Chamberlain? I know he fought Lawal.
No,
did he fight Isaac? He didn't fight Isaac Chamberlain, did he?
And I don't want to see him fight Isaac Chamberlain either.
No, no. I mean, that would have had to have happened about 4 years ago, anyway. The one thing he probably lacks, it's not his style, so I'm probably being a bit unfair. He's not a puncher. He's not really a pressure fighter. He likes to move. He's got plenty of skills. We know that. When he gets to the elite, a more kind of top of the division, does he have enough power to keep much better opposition honest? And to use an example, is an obvious example, obviously light heavy, Viddal. Viddal's not a puncher, but I think he hits hard enough, and I think we saw that in the second Beterbiev fight, that he kept him honest, right? He hits hard enough to make guys. Does Viddal Riley have that? Or again, do we not know yet?
I say we don't know yet. We need a few more fights, but it's looking good so far. And he did swing it out when he needed to and hold his feet at times.
He did.
He's just really, really, really slick and really, really good and defensive as well. And I think it was the Ali pull counter that he was doing. Like he did that a couple of times.
Yeah.
Ali pulls back, and then as you just overreach for the jab, he comes back with a right hand. And he did that a couple of times, and it's like, oh.
Yeah, he's definitely got the skills, isn't he, Chris? Because you don't see too many pull counters. Like, it's not something you see too often. You know, that kind of slipping the shot and kind of counter punching at the same time. You know, Sugar Ray Robinson. You know, he famously could allegedly knock people out walking backwards. You know, that's quite hard to do. Most people have got to kind of step into their shots. But
you've either got it or you ain't with that one. But,
yeah, bit of an obvious question, not exactly, but sometimes you got to ask formulaic questions, Chris. But where does he go next now? You know, that was his best performance by far. We'll get onto Chef Clarke in a minute.
I know exactly where he goes next.
Oh, I like the confidence.
Jack Massey, Commonwealth title.
Oh yeah, good shout, Jack Massey.
Gotta be right. If you look at the British cruiserweight division, like it's not very strong. So there's no point.
Not much there, mate.
There's no point defending it outright 3 times to win the belt outright, because you're gonna have to fight people like who's the kid that we just mentioned before? What's he called? And he had he fought Lawrence Coley a while back in a stinker.
Mentioned
him.
Oh, not Riakport. Isaac Chamberlain, Lowell.
Jack Massey beat him for the Commonwealth.
Isaac Chamberlain, wasn't it?
Yeah, Isaac Chamberlain. Like if he keeps that British belt, it's people like him that's going to be like mandatory that he's going to have to fight. Like if I was him, the best thing for him to do to springboard off this win is to fight Jack Massey, and he can really test himself, because this is a guy who just lost to Jay Opataya, and see what, even though styles make fights and all that, it's a good measuring stick, and it's the next step after you win the British is the Commonwealth.
Yeah.
Then the European.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So Jack Massey had the European title, but I think he vacated it. So
is he with Joe Gallagher still, Jack Massey? He's with Joe Gallagher, isn't he? I think.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. But that's the only fight for me. I don't want to see him in any other fight except for against.
I like the conviction with that. I mean, I kind of had a list of options, but I wanted to get you. I think the good thing is about the Jack Massey fight is it's another good mark. I mean, look, we have to remember this is only, and I made this. I was a little bit kind of like, what's going on? Because Josh was kind of getting me up to speed on him, because he's had him in camp loads for his sparring. He was in his camp for this fight as well. So Josh he's a big fan of his, and I sort of thought, well, I'm not really seen enough of him to comment, but he's a massive fan. So I was like, okay. And this was a decent performance, but 13 fights in 7 years. So I'd like to see him a lot more active now. Get out about 2-3 times a year, Chris. Now, like I just want to see a bit more of him, because that was a much better performance. And I thought, well, okay, there's a little bit of something there outside of the kind of moving around, jabbing, all the skills, paying the bills, all of it. There's a little bit there, a bit of heart. Chin on him. Chef Clarke can punch, can't he? But Jack Massey will have a right go, Chris, won't he? Like he will come forward and have a go, and a bit like Chef Clarke did. So that could be, the one, Chris. That's a good shout, actually. If he comes through that one, then you can kind of see him progressing, can't you?
Yeah, he could even, because Jay Opataya fights regularly, right? He could even, and Jay Opataya is with Eddie Hearn, signed to the zone. He could even fight Massey in his backyard in Australia on an undercard of Jay Opataya.
Yeah, he's.
Do you know what? I mean? That'll be a really good fight if he could do that, get experience fighting a hostile crowd. The Aussies, they like us, they love their boxing.
Yeah.
So, like, that's the only fight I can see. I don't want to see any other fight unless it's that one. And he said he wants the traditional Commonwealth neck, or he wants to win the belt outright, and I just don't think he should waste his time.
We just saw, I'm chucking another name out there, Chris, just for sort of devil's advocate. We like to do this, but it kind of wouldn't be, obviously he's not a champion now. So, but again, it would be a decent yardstick for Viddal Riley against a durable guy who can box a little bit. We just saw him stink. Well, we just saw the fight stink the place out. But Chris Billam-Smith, all British, I think he'd probably beat Chris Billam-Smith on points, though. Actually,
for sure.
But chucking that name out there.
I think the thing is, I thought this because I thought Billam-Smith he won, but it was like really, really grueling and really, really hard.
Life and death,
and
mate, wasn't it? Fuck me. Little bit.
His post-fight interview, like, he looked a bit punchy to me. Like,
well,
there was, I can't remember what he was asking him, but he just looked a bit like, yeah, well, you know, oh no, that was it. Yeah, they said, oh, he apologized for what he said, his opponent. He said, but he just should have done it in and he started stuttering, and then he went, nicely.
Yeah.
And it's like in a press conference, you're insulting each other. Like, it's like he
well,
like, he couldn't get his
we know
out.
he takes an awful lot of punishment, doesn't he? And all of his fights, you know, he's a real tough man, but he's a bit of a Chisora, isn't he? At cruiserweight, you know, I'd probably do him into say he's a better boxer than Chisora, to be fair, but he does take a lot of damage.
We just keep up on the boxing there until the end. But anyway, to answer the question, I think if CBS would take the fight, then Viddal Riley should take it.
Yeah,
because it'd be a good measuring stick.
Yeah,
and CBS can see. Oh, let me see if I've still got it, and win a British title again. That's what started the journey. You won the British title.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, CBS might be thinking, I'm only going to get my head punched in and go into war for big money and big opportunities. So no, I'm not going to take a step backwards and fight for a British title when I'm a former world champion. Or he'll retire. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know if that fight would happen. Depends.
No, good points. The one for what the other interesting thing for me with this fight, actually, it was I'm a Tottenham fan, so please don't scathe me in the comments, everyone. It was a Tottenham versus It was an all North London affair. Chev Clarke's allegedly an Arsenal fan, and Viddal Riley was fighting in his team's stadium as well. So I suppose that gave him a little bit of a lift as well, you know, being a fan of Tottenham, fighting in the stadium. So that was an interesting little caveat to the fight. Coming on to Clarke, who's he's Gravesend lad, isn't he, Chev Clarke? The old Gravesend boy. I've only got one question for him, because it did not a great deal to say, and there's sort of certain reasons for it. Obviously was British champion. He's had a decent career. I know the answer to this, Chris, but I'm going to ask you anyway. He didn't turn over till I think he was 31. Did he turn over too late? I knew the answer, but I had to ask it. Far too late.
100%. 100%. There's no point turning over at that age, I don't think.
I don't get it.
Unless you just did it for money. But there's no point in turning over like when you're 28 or 30, like, because you're in your prime then. I mean, you've got to learn the professional game. And then by the time you learn it, you haven't got the years of experience, and all your attributes are fading. So you've got the knowledge, but you're too old to use it.
Yeah. And do you know what? And he's 34 now, isn't he? And he's kind of one of those fighters as well, where kind of similar to Yard. You know, he's a strongly built guy. He's fairly muscular. You know, he's quite explosive, powerful. You know, and I know power's the last thing to go, but he's probably going to be slightly on the decline now. I don't know for him now. I guess my other question, and I didn't have this one written down for Chev Clarke, is I don't really know where he goes after this, really. I mean, no, that was going to be my other question for him. Do you think he's kind of overachieved, underachieved? Chev Clarke, obviously British champion, you know, it's a decent career. Not many people can say that. Or is he kind of got to where you thought he would get to?
He's got to where I never thought he'd get beyond British level.
Right.
To be honest, I thought the European title was a 50-50 fight. I never thought he was a shoo-in for that. And I think he should be proud because if he turned over earlier, he might have gone on to a European, fought for a world title, maybe even won a world title.
Yeah.
If the fights had been the right fights. But he turned over too late, and turning over late, British champion, he's done well.
No, I couldn't really argue with that, Chris. I couldn't really argue with that. Well, there's no more questions for me. So unless there's anything more you wanted to add from Viddal Riley in particular, or on the fight in general.
Just Jack Massey fight is the only.
You really want that one? You heard it here. The boss wants the Massey fight. I quite like the CBS fight, but yeah, it probably won't happen.
So Massey's going to be with Eddie Hearn, I think, Matchroom, or Frank Warren, Ben Shalom.
Oh God, don't mention him. Fucking hell.
No, like it's just So I hope no politics get in the way and it gets made. But that's it from us.
Like and subscribe. Leave a comment. Answer some of the questions I've asked. If you disagree with Chris's answers or my answers, let us know. That's what we want, engagement and all that. So
like and sub. Okay.